Hello friends, welcome back to the Django tutorial. In the last video, we have seen that how to render a HTML page. Today we'll be discussing about how to use the forms because form is one of the important component of your web application from where you can receive the data and you need to process that data and you have to show the desired output to the end user. Okay, so let us start. So before that, we will check what we have done in the last video. So we have simply displayed one HTML page with the value passing through the variable that is myvar. So I'll run the code that is python manage.py run server and sorry the spelling mistake of the python, and we'll check the output. So this is what you have done. This is your static HTML content and the Yogesh is the name you are passing through the views. This is the value, this is the variable name, and that variable has displayed in the h1 tag as a value. Okay, now we want to create one form, so I'll edit this HTML page here itself. So we are not using any CSS for designing purpose, so we are using plain HTML. So I want to create one form, so I'm using form tag. Okay, so whenever you create a form, you need to take the input fields and the submit button to submit your data. Okay, so I'll create one input field for enter your first name, and we'll take one input field, type is text, and the field name will be suppose first name, right? And after this I want to create one input whose type will be submit, so that you can submit the data to the backend. Okay, so let us check an output. We'll just reload the page. So this is the form which you have created. We are not using any CSS, so it will look simple. So enter your first name. Now whatever data you will enter into this field, and when you submit it, you want to receive that data somewhere. Okay, so that somewhere is nothing but the URL. So in the form action, you always use the URL or the page name where you are sending the data. So I want to send the data which is filled in the form to the URL whose name will be suppose my data. This is the URL which we have to create. Okay, and while sending this data, you have to take care of that in which method you are sending the data. So there are two different methods. You have to mention the method as well. So you can see there are different methods available. So generally get and post methods are used. We'll see the difference. What is the difference between the get and post? So initially I'll use the get, and let us check your output. When you reload your page, look the URL carefully. There is nothing in the URL, and when you enter the data, suppose I'm entering my name and I submit it, we have not created any backend page, so it will generate an error of 404 not found. But look at the URL, what change you can see. So it's my data is a URL which you for which you are sending the data, that is my data, and the field name is first name. So this is the first name is the field name, and this is the information which you have entered the value. Okay, if I change this get to the post, and you will just come back, reload your output, fill the data, submit it, and you will see that in the URL you are not getting the remaining values. So that is the difference between get and post. So whenever you use a get, the information will be visible in the URL, and when you use the post method, the information is not visible in the URL, so that it will not be stored in the history of the browser, and that is more secure. Okay, so for as of now we'll start with a get, and I want to send this data to the URL my data. So we need to create that URL to avoid that error of 404 not found. So in the urls.py here you need to add one more URL, that is path, and the name of the your URL is my data, and this URL will render someone, right? So we need to create a function in views.py. So views dot inside that views.py I'll create one function whose name will be suppose my data. So in the views.py here you need to put the comma, and in the views.py here, like the home function will create another function whose name will be my data, okay, which will be handling one request, okay, and which will return the render page. So we need to create one page. So for this example, I'll create a separate page. So output dot html, this page I want to render whenever you submit the form. So you need to create this page. So on the template, right click, create a new file and name that page as output.html. Okay, write some HTML code and display one message that this will be your output. Okay, let us check whether it is working fine or not. So reload, enter the data, submit it, and you will see that you have successfully rendered the output page and the data is also visible in the URL because of the get method. Fine. But we have not received that data in the backend and we have to send that received data to the front end again. So when you submit the form, you are sending data to the my data URL and my data URL is rendering calling the function my data, and when you come here you need to check whether you are receiving this data through the get method or not. If you are not receiving, you have to tell the user that you are not coming through the get method, right? So I will check it. So simply you have to write if the request is through get method, so you have to write request dot get, then only render the output page, else if it is not so, render the same page, that is your index page with some message. So I'll create one variable like error and we'll pass one value to that error, that is please fill the form. Okay, and this error message is rendered with index.html. So we'll come to the index.html here, and before the form I'll create one paragraph and here I'll display that error message. Okay, let us check what is the meaning of that. So whenever you visit the URL, which is that home page URL, that is index.html, you are getting this form. But what if someone like try to add my data directly? This is the URL which user wants to visit directly. And when you click on it, you will find that you are getting one message, please fill the form. Because nobody can directly access this function, that is my data. Why? Because you have written that it should be called to the get method, then only I'll show you the output page, else you have to go to the index page. Okay, now suppose user has submitted that form, then you need to receive that value here. So I'll create one variable. So f name is a variable I am using. I want to store the data which is received through that text field. So it's a request dot, by which method you are receiving the data, get square brackets, and here in the double quotes mention the field name which you have used in the form. So the field name is first name. So here use first name, and this value you want to pass to the output page. So here create one output variable. So I'll create variable name as output, and the value carrying variable is f name. So I want to pass that to the front end, that is output.html. So whenever you render the output.html, you will get one variable output which is carrying your information. Now where you want to display that output? So I want to display in front of this output. Here you can use that variable output. So save this, let us come back, reload your page, home page, fill your data. So I am entering my name, submit it. Now you can see that you are on the my data and you have successfully received that value to the backend and successfully sent that back value to the front end as well, and that value is visible in the URL. Okay, now what if I don't want to show my data in the URL? So as we discussed instead of get you can use the post method. Okay, I have changed the post. So similarly you have to change in the backend, that is in the views, instead of get we will be receiving our instruction request to the post. Here also you are going to use post. Okay, and let us check, but I don't think that it will give you the correct answer. It will show something different. So let us try it. So I'm entering my name, submit it, and look, it is giving you the different error. The data is not visible in the URL, but it has something different for us. So it is showing that CSRF verification failed. So what is CSRF? CSRF is a cross-site request forgery attack, generally happens on the web applications. So to avoid that, we need to add one token, that is CSRF token, in the HTML code within the form. So how to write that code? So if you go through the documentation, you will find that there is a tag called CSRF token. Just copy it and come to your HTML code of the form, that is index.html, and within the form paste that token, and let us check the output. We'll go back, we reload the page and enter your name, submit it, and you can see that with the post method, without showing your data in the URL, you have successfully sent the data to the other page. And this token is need to be added only for the method post whenever you are sending the data to the method post, and it should be added in the front end, remember that. Okay, so this is a simple text information which we are carrying from front end to the next page. Now I want to get some values and I want to process it. So it is very similar to like performing some operations on the variable. So let us change this example that I want to perform some arithmetic operations on the number. So I'll change the message like enter two numbers. We'll take two numbers and we'll try to add them. So we have an input field. I'll change the field name as num1. We'll add some placeholder as well for understanding, that is number 1. Okay, we need another field. We'll take this as number 2 and the field name will be number 2. Okay, whenever you click on the submit, you are sending this data to the my data with the method post. Come to your views. So here you are receiving the data through the post request. So the first data will be coming through the field name num1 and the variable name which I want to use is num1. Okay, same thing which I want to do it for the num2. So it's num2. Okay, and we want to add them, but remember that you are sending the data as a text format. So in Python you need to convert this text form into the integer format. So I'll write integer and we'll pass that value so that it will be automatically casted into the required format, that is integer we are using here. Okay, so you receive two values in the num1 and num2. You want to create another variable result which will store the addition of num1 and num2, and the final result is calculated in the variable result, and that result you want to send it to the output page. So here you will write result. Okay, save it, come back and come to your home page. Now you are getting the two fields. One is for the number 1, I am entering 10, second one is 20. Submit it and you can see that we have successfully added the numbers and displayed on the third page with the post method. So this is how we fill the form, submit the data, we receive that data in the backend. The steps I'll quickly revise. First of all, you need to create your front end form where you want to submit your data. Add that URL in the urls.py, which will calling one function that is from the views, that is in this example we are using my data. So in the views along with the home function, I have created another function my data which is handling your request. For a particular request only, use this if statement. If the request is not coming through the form, directly someone is calling that page, then where you want to redirect, that redirection code here, you have to render some other page, you can render it, and you have to receive that data from a particular request from the given field name in the form, receive the data, perform the operations and send your desired output to the front end. So this is it from this video. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.